everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Founder. I am your host, Luke Beastall, and I have a fellow UK guest with us. I mean, obviously, you've heard the previous episode, it's been very much international guest, but it's nice to have someone from the home country, and this guest is going to be the first one on our show that is from a different industry, and actually, to be specific, choreography and a dancer. She's actually been all over the globe. She's worked with some tremendous people that you'll actually know of. I'll put a bit of a teaser in there and say Ed Sheeran, but there's many more that we'll probably go into today. Her background obviously is she's like an athlete. She's active. She helps people bring out their best version of themselves, which I'm really I want to know about her as a person and what she's had actually to go through to be where she is today. Her name is Emily. She's been in the industry 16 years. I've got that right. I think I've got that right. And do you know what she said to me before we jumped on today? And this is why I love these platforms, guys, is because she's like, I haven't had the opportunity to showcase and really open up about my vulnerable self of this journey. So, look, I'm going to keep quiet now, and I'm just going to say, look, Emily, it's a pleasure to have you on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow, what an introduction. I feel like I want that as my morning alarm clock. Like all the compliments. That was amazing.
Literally, you got to wing it, haven't you, sometimes? It's just like rolling off the farm. But or you're like, this will be out there, so you can just keep listening to it on your morning alarm clock. I mean, it's all good. So just to sort of check in with our audience and stuff, give us a bit of a not like title of what it is that you do, but just a bit of a brief sort of background on what it is that you do day to day.
Yes, fab. So I work in the creative industry across a few genres of things. So I predominantly am a dancer and a choreographer. And I also judge and I also teach across globally. But yeah, I basically am in the creative industry. I love what it is I do. It doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like effectively doing my hobby every day. So that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like. It's just I wake up, I am self-employed, so I do have the luxury of kind of planning my day, which is lovely. And yeah, I just get to share the energy around dance, helping people, and then also performing myself. So it's lovely. I really enjoy it.
No, that's really good. So obviously you've got that, sense of freedom. You've built this brand. You've built this business. I just want to ask this question because there might be somebody here, sort of who dances, or maybe does it as a hobby, or maybe is in the industry, or have got children in the industry. I'd love to know from your side, what does dancing mean to you?
I think it's the only time in my entire life where when I'm doing it and when I focus on it, I'm totally isolated within that moment, within the state of flow. There's nothing else that even comes in. I don't have like daydreaming thoughts about, okay, what do I need to do later, or it's just I'm so present. And I don't have that in any other part of my life because there's always other things going on and you're always, busy. But I think that's why I cherish it and I love it so much, because with it, you have no choice other than to be completely present. And that feeling, it's like when you come out of it, you've come out of like a dream, and you have this kind of rush of euphoria. Like if you've done like a really good HIIT workout, you get that. I don't know what the word is it not dopamine? Is that the correct word?
Endorphins,
that's it, not dopamine.
Yeah,
you get that endorphin rush.
You get dopamine as well.
And I just that after dance, it's like, where did I just go? Like, what world did I just step into for that? Say it was like an hour and a half class or whatever, and then you come out and it's like that was just magic.
Oh, that's so good. And I mean, I think the present moment, I think it's a really sort of powerful thing. And I can imagine sort of that mode or that mindset shift happens as soon as you sort of step out onto the lights or step out onto the stage. How has that so for dance for you, how has that impacted your life away from dance? Like, what has that been able to give you?
I think that has actually really bled into my life as like a human, that being so present and being like, I think because of the industry, you cannot plan so far in advance. Like you can, like, it's all a bit, you're sort of on the edge of your seat a lot of the time. Everything's very last minute. Everything's very in the moment. So I think because of that, then as a human, I practice being so present a lot, just naturally, because it's what I've been doing in the industry. It's not like I'm intentionally like, right, as a human now I'm going to be present. I think it's just one of the qualities I've been able to take away from being a dancer, um, which, yeah, I just think is beneficial to life, really, because it flies by so quickly.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I just had to mute my mic then. It's fucking wind. So windy here. It's
Not the game.
Um,
Is it tornado days or something this weekend?
I don't know what it is today, but yeah, it's definitely given a high amount of wind. But no, like, in terms of that in itself, the present, I love how that's like you say, bled into your sort of day to day life. Because obviously, as business owners, as people that are sort of go getters, like you say, everything happens so fast and it can be last minute. You can lose, who you are as a person. You can sort of forget you're just such on the treadmill. You keep going and going. Has there ever been a moment in this 14 years that maybe, have you ever lost Emily as a person, or have you always kept in tune with that presence?
I think, if to be honest, it's not like I lost her. I had to find her. So
Okay.
when we were in lockdown, it's like my whole identity for my whole life had been Emily the dancer. And it's like,
Right.
that's what I identified as. And then with lockdown, like a lot of people, we didn't have the choice to do what we love in our career. So it was very much like, well, now I have this time. Like, what does Emily like? Like, I never knew that I liked like reading, or how much I love like fantasy films, or going on walks, listening to like motivational speeches and spirituality and stuff like that. Like, it just gave grace and it gave space to explore that part of like who I am. So yeah, I certainly have never lost myself. I just had to find who I was, because when you have relationships with people, it's lovely to speak about what you do, but it's also, I just think, so much more rich to understand who people are outside of what they do also.
I absolutely agree. I love how you've sort of distinctly put those two in place. Like, obviously, people always ask, "Oh, what do you do?" But that question of who you are, it hits people a lot more. So if
Yeah.
I was to ask you right now, rather than me asking you, "Oh, Emily, what do you do?" Who are you?
Who am I? I am just so
Yeah.
that I just think I'm just somebody that is like so in tune every day with my energy, how others feel around me, how I feel, and just making the most of being like positive and present in life. Like, I energy is such a massive thing to me. And like, I like, for example, if I'm teaching, I can walk into a room and I can sense like immediately if something's not off, or if I'm in like a non-dance environment and I'm with a friend and something's off. Sometimes I think I would love to be a counselor, or just like a
Oh, yeah.
people and help people, because I always feel like I love to see the world with the glass half full, and it's very easy to see it glass half empty. So I would love to just
Mhm.
that narrative to be maybe delusional in some sense, but just to see things through the positive. I think that's who I am.
So this is brilliant. So would you say then you sort of go towards the positives first rather than the negatives in a given situation, or?
Yeah, every single time. Every single time. It could be like the craziest, like rain and thunderstorm, or like grossest weather, and I could be like, oh, but it just sounds so beautiful. And that's not because I'm trying, it's just because that's what I feel from it. It's not like I'm actively like, right, let me find what's great about this because it's a bad situation. It's just I feel like naturally that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. So, okay, this is good then. So you spoke about obviously the unprecedented time of COVID. I mean, I've spoken with quite a lot of business owners, a lot of people that are, life slowed down in
Mm,
COVID. It gave us that space to sort of, like you say, for you, you didn't lose yourself. You found
mm,
this Emily, into that. you know, I just said there about the positives and sort of the mindset shifts. Was Emily like that before COVID? Did you do that work on yourself before COVID, or did COVID gift you that?
I think it's always been there, to be honest. I've always kind of listened to like positivity. I listened to a lot of like Abraham Hicks stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah, do you know Abraham Hicks? Have you listened to any of her stuff?
I haven't listened to stuff, but I've heard that name's been flown about a
Yeah,
lot in the personal development. Yeah,
yeah. I just think I've because of how much time I've had to spend on my own with what I do. I
yeah.
like and then like that's created that awareness of energy. So I guess if there has been moments where I've felt like the energy has maybe dipped, naturally I would have listened to something to like level it up and increase it. So I think I've learned how to do that throughout the whole of the industry, because that's it's required because of its isolation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. So obviously you're on your own a lot.
Mm,
Probably most likely with you dancing, I guess you're just looking at your own reflection in the mirror a lot
yeah.
of the time. You know, sort of with the industry,
Mm.
would you say that it is generally, like from a general outlook, would you say it is a positive environment, or does it come across quite negative and then you like helping it be more positive?
It's totally not positive. It's
Well,
totally not.
I'd love to hear about this, because I know it. I know and feel that negative energy within it more.
Yeah, it's not. I think like obviously there's like the glitz and glamour, and the opportunities that it provides you are superhuman. It's things that I would never have even dreamed of experiencing. So that side of it is obviously from like I guess more of like a selfish point of view. It's very positive in that aspect because of what it can provide you, but the realities of it in terms of what it requires from you, uh, how it analyzes your external self, and how it can, in some senses, devalue you, are things that come with it that are totally not positive at all.
So what has there been an example in your life though, Emily, that this has come to light? If you would share with us that sort of external and maybe that behind the glitz and glam.
Yeah, I think a bit for me really. Like I sort of went into the industry with like blinkers on really. I never really had a mentor. I never really had anybody that I knew had been in it. I sort of felt my way through the whole thing. So it, in a sense, did go into it slightly blind, which in some sense was really positive because I just threw everything into it. I had no predisposition or thought against how it could be negative in some ways. But I guess it it has you by tender hooks sometimes. I think it doesn't allow space for you to make like you miss birthdays, or you can miss weddings, or you can miss really
Right.
important moments with the people that you care about because your agent needs a message by tomorrow if you can be there, and you're 10 hours away from where you need to be, and your bag's not packed, and you've got to drop everything and let people down. There's that side of it which I think can be quite tricky and make you come across quite selfish, because you kind of have to be in order to succeed with it. So I don't know if that's like the
Mm.
best human trait in terms of your relationship with other people.
But I totally I can hear you on that, and obviously for you, I think what you just said there earlier about it's like you are on standby
Yeah.
in a way. You know, you've got to be ready to take flight. You know, you sat there ready to go, and you know you've got to be ready for anything. But that in itself must be quite. I mean, just I've got to ask this question: do you get anxiety around that? You know, if like sort of you're not knowing, because for me, I would be like, I'm not saying I want to know every outcome, but just that feeling of like maybe, maybe not being selected, maybe being dropped.
Yeah. I think for whatever reason, especially between my 20s and 30s, absolutely loved the buzz of it. I remember when, have you ever been to Centre Parks?
Oh yeah. Well, which
Yeah.
one though? Because there's quite a few.
I think it's the Longleat one.
I've not been that one. I've been to Sherwood Pines and I think it's Woburn. But yeah, they're all similar-ish, aren't
Yeah, love a Centre Parks. I remember I was on a family holiday in Centre Parks, and then all of a sudden I just get a message like, can you fly out to, I think it was like Saudi or one of like Bahrain, somewhere in the Middle East. Can you fly out there? A circus needs to be choreographed next week. Boom, can you do it? And it's like in those moments you get that rush of like, number one, I've been chosen for this responsibility. Number two, this is going to be the most creative endeavor doing this. I've never worked with circus artists. So it's that whoosh of excitement. And then you get the moment of like, wait, logistics. And then obviously you have to navigate it. But for me, it's never caused me anxiety in that sense. I've always loved the rush and the buzz of it. But you do wonder how long that's sustainable. Like, for your whole life to be able to just drop things at the drop of a hat. That's one thing I would say.
Yeah, yeah, so okay, so this is quite good. So obviously you had to, I mean, like say an experience there, you're at Centre Parks and you're leaving like halfway through the holiday or something like that. How have you been able to manage that though efficiently for you? Because that in itself, through life, you're going to have more responsibility. Obviously, you're going to have bills to pay. You know, you're going to have a mortgage maybe or a rent to pay. Like how do you navigate that? Because it must be, because not only having pressure being on stage or choreography, you got pressure of that as well.
Yeah. I think, like I said, so obviously I was in London from when I was like 20 to 30. So where that was just like a renting situation, there was much responsibility there. And then I moved out of London and bought my house, which then came with more responsibility, but created more balance, healthy balance. So I think the drop of a hatness and the, like you say, you being on standby then started to become a choice. Is like, wait, the level of inconvenience here, I can actually choose whether I want that, and I can choose now whether I want to effectively let people down, or is this the best moment to be selfish? Whereas when it was 20 to 30s, eyes on the prize, nothing else matters. But I just think as you grow up a bit, you kind of, you realize how many other elements in your life are so fruitful that can contribute to your career. But my whole life was my career. There was nothing else. And now that there's other elements to it, I think I've introduced the luxury of choice into that. I think that's how I've dealt with it.
I think that's brilliant. The fact that, yes, okay, then, so 20 to 30, that 10 year, you know, you made the mistakes, you took the opportunities, you said yes to a lot of things, you sort of picked and found which ones work better, which ones probably not so much, depending on obviously the opportunities, I guess, are very different. Through that 10-year period, then, I'd love to know if you could pick one experience or opportunity that was handed to you or you got handpicked for, which was the best one and why? I'd love to know.
Wow. So a lot of people in the commercial dance industry, like the probably the number one thing that a lot of dancers want to do is an artist tour, because it gets you to travel around the world. And
Yes.
one that I did, it literally landed in my lap. And I do believe that was through like the grace of like hard work, energy, alignment, knowing the right people. It just all fell into place at the exact right time. So that is just to caveat. That is one thing I do notice, that like if you don't put in all the work and have the blinkers on, the results aren't as high. That is
Yeah.
one thing, a little bit, you know, something to take away. But yeah, for me it would be, I did an artist world tour and I traveled like literally across the world with a rock band. And I remember sometimes my parents would ring me and be like, where are you today? And I would just be on this tour bus like, I don't even know where we are today, because it was just incredible, and it just happened at the most perfect time in my life, because no responsibilities, like just traveling the world, dancing and choreographing on these like massive stages was just incredible.
Oh, that's insane. So obviously, yeah, I'm glad you put that out there. Obviously, it's not just like, land. I know you said landed on your lap, but you sort of said that it wasn't just an easy sort of offer. It was through your connections, through your energy. Basically what you receive from the world, what you give to the world, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's really good. You sort of put that out there. What did you learn from that experience of being on the world tour about yourself?
I learned that you can have the best job ever in the world, but if you're not fulfilled personally, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, I think like love and connection um with people is like the highest form of vibration, the highest form of energy. I think uh, like if you can have the best job, like I was on an arena stage, and I remember like peeking through the curtain to the audience, and I was just seeing all these, like when they put like the phone lights on, and like I just
Yeah, yeah.
looked around the corner. I was like, wow, that is like incredible. Like, I cannot believe that I'm here having this. But adjacent to that thought, directly at the same time, I thought, how lovely would it be to have this, like, to share with someone? And I didn't have that. So it's
Ah,
like a maximum fulfillment career, minimal fulfillment personal.
okay, this is good then. So was there moments, was there periods, years, if that was the case, where you felt lonely?
Yeah, because I think, well, you can mask it quite well with our industry because you can do it 24/7. You can be on
Yeah,
any day. There's no right clocking out now. You can mask it quite well, but I think in those moments of like holidays, so like Christmas time, or like just special moments that are outside of work, you notice that like void. I would always notice it anyway. Um so yeah, I think that's definitely something that I learned, that I just wanted to have the whole package. I wanted to have the amazing career and the amazing opportunities, but also a fulfilled personal life.
yeah. So okay, so this leads on quite well. I mean, appreciate you sharing that as well and opening up, because I think obviously you can see online, like, oh my gosh, she's
Mm,
performing in front of thousands. She's with these celebrity artists and stuff like that, and like you say, but then at the same time you feel a little bit empty, a little bit sort of
yeah,
lonely, and go, oh, it'd be really amazing to sort of share this with my loved ones, or a partner or something like that. And it's not always that if you're constantly on the road and traveling all over the world, and I'm sure people who's listening to this or watching back will actually relate. So you'd spoken about that period in London, and then you decided to move out of the big city to sort of
mm,
create personal life balance.
yeah.
Was you scared moving out of the city? Did you fear not getting opportunities, or did you fear that or was that not the case at all?
No, I sort of got to the point where I thought, right, a lot of my work is international at the moment, and it's not actually in London. Like, yes, the rehearsals are in London, but I just think to myself, do I actually need to be here every day at this point? Um, and then I thought, no, and I thought, right, it's time to build like something for yourself now as well. Something that's got a bit of legs that you can control, that isn't dependent on other people saying yes to you, or just is something for yourself. So I think that was just the driving force behind it. I didn't feel nervous about it because I felt like I'd not like I'd paid my dues, because I don't think you ever do. I think you always continually have to push. There's no like foot off the brake. You do the best job in the world, then you drop straight back down again. You crack on and you hustle again. But yeah, I definitely think that it was a good decision to make. It didn't have fear behind it. But I think the realities are, like, if you're not in everyone's eyes all the time in London, it does have an effect for sure.
Yeah, that's what I sort of was thinking, because obviously, I speak with a lot of people, and I'm sure you've had these conversations with people. It's like, oh, being in the like cities, you're sort of well connected, you're sort of
Yeah.
visible, know you, they don't forget about you because you're there. And then you go out to maybe a bit more of a remote area or town, and you sort of like, you get lost, and it's like you'll lose your career. Like, people may even say, if you move
Yeah.
out the city, you're not these auditions, you're just
Yeah.
gonna be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, that's definitely a thing. And then whenever I have those moments like that, I think to myself, but would you trade it? Would you trade everything that you've built now for yourself to go back into a shared flat? You get home, someone's in the shower, you can't get in there, someone you don't know, to just sit there in your lounge on your own. Would you trade that? And every single time I'm like, no. If it has to be slightly slower for my like peace, then that's okay. Because I know whatever is like meant to come to me through the creative industry, if I work hard and it's down to me, then it will come to me. It just has to be, I just have to put in the work for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that as well, and I think just how you've openly shared there, going, would I trade what I've built and created now to go back to that through just maybe the fear of what other people's opinions are? But what I actually really respect is that these people have said that to you, but you've still had the strength to just do what you want anyway, which a lot of people probably wouldn't. They have that fear to go, maybe I am going to miss out. Oh, you know. And this is so from that alone. Like, what work have you had to do on yourself to sort of have this strong mentality to be like, no, if I'm going to create something, I want to stand by my decision and keep at it, because that's what I want, not what other people want.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is learning that there is like a facade to the success, in sense like say for example, a lot of the people that maybe haven't moved out of London yet, they will still be on all these amazing jobs, so I still do get that sense of like, oh, like, ooh, I would love to be there, but then they'll ring me and be like, actually this was the reality of that job, let me tell you the honest truth about actually how awful that was. So it's like it's me managing my expectations, and me like having my own tool belt for if that feeling comes up where I'm like, oh, I'm not there. Why am I not there? And my tool belt includes like going to the gym, or like creating my own stuff in my time, and making sure that I make time to go into the city and like get back in the thick of it again. And it's if I tick those things off, then I'm cool with myself. It's just if I don't, that's when it's like it's almost like a nagging feeling in the back of your head of like, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough, look at what everyone else is doing, you're not doing enough, you need to do more, which can be
So
kind of annoying.
well, yeah, it's I think it's kind of toxic, really, about in most industries, right? You have that sort of FOMO effect. You sort of look at what people are doing and going,
Yeah.
maybe they got the edge on me, or maybe they're doing something that I'm not doing, or maybe they're doing something that you used to do, and you're thinking, God, it looks like it's working for them, so maybe I should copy them. I mean, you've heard of the saying, I'm sure, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
Quite a common say, I guess, in what you do though, especially with the spotlight and the lights and the glitz and the glam, comparing yourself to other dancers must be probably
Oh,
one of the biggest things that happens.
it's wild. I always think this to myself, and I've said this a couple of times recently. Obviously, we've just gone on Instagram. Like sometimes you just go on Instagram, and you find yourself like just going through stories, or going through, scrolling, and it's like, in what other industry would you log on to your computer in the morning and be like, oh, John from accounts is having this important meeting today. Suzanne is going to like get a promotion. Like, I'm sure it happens to an extent, but to the extent in which it happens as ours is like your whole feed is like, what is everyone doing today? How successful is everyone today? And I think sometimes like I have to stop myself from doing that, because you do it in motion, because you want to stay in the loop, you want to be aware of what is happening. But I think in that awareness, you don't realize the subconscious effects that it's having on you because of the comparison.
So, I mean, you've obviously spoken quite well about that. It sounds as though you've probably done that yourself before, in terms of comparing to others, which, by the way, I think everybody can agree and say that, raise their hand and say that they have compared themselves to people before, or still do, and can't get out of that loop. But for you, what impact did it have on your sort of career and your life, maybe personal life, when you felt that energy was going towards sort of comparing yourself to others?
I think it just it just brings you down. And I hate that energy. So I'm very like solution driven. I'm like, right, if I feel a way about something, explore why I feel a way, and then I'm going to find a solution. So like I said about the tool belt, like sometimes I'll just delete the app because I'm like, if I delete it for today, that's 24 hours without comparison. And then if I feel like I feel better the next day, maybe not. Okay, still keep it off. And then maybe the day after that, right, I can go back on now. I'll go back on, but I won't look at stories. I'll just look for the work that's on there. Just being a little bit more conscious of what you're putting into your brain. Because a lot of the times as well, it's like, well, somebody's on that job, but their stats aren't the same as mine in terms of like that's a blonde girl that's 5'5". So why am I comparing that? Because that was never my job anyway. Because I'm a 5'7" brunette,
Mm.
but would still compare because it's like, oh, someone's on a job and I'm not. You know.
Right.
So I think it's just having the awareness. I think it would be false of me to say that it doesn't have an effect. But I think it's like how I try to deal with it. And I've got really supportive friends and a partner and family that, if it ever gets to the point where I'm like, oh, this is just too much, I'll just speak to them. But for a lot of the time, I do just try to, manage it myself because I know something will be around the corner. It always is.
So that's actually really good though, that you can sort of like switch that negative energy and put it into more like optimistic, positive energy, and put in the work and still show up. And I also respect that you've just been honest about that you have fell into that, because I think we all have in some form of sort of like the industry and stuff. And obviously you just said there about like 5'5" blonde, you're 5'7" brunette. I saw this on sort of the CV resume that you sort of sent us, and it's like obviously it's very very specific. Like you've got to be fit for it. Okay, so like if you are not that high, not that color hair, that side body shape, whatever, it's like you're not in. Okay,
Yeah.
so. And that's pressure, So for you then, how have you been able to like maybe outside of all that? Because obviously that's out of your control. You're just sort of like, yeah, you fit, come with us, sort of thing. How have you managed to still have a playful side and maybe the personality, fun side, creative side outside of that? Because that must be hard to sort of differentiate the two, especially when you're just so used to it being like, say, perfect, or you have to fit the bill.
I don't know if I've even been allowed the space to have that fun, playful outside of it.
Really?
I think you've always just had to fit. And I think that's what makes it tricky sometimes, because especially in the UK industry as a female dancer, there is a sufficient lack of space to be able to book jobs if you aren't really sexy and like to not wear much. If you fall outside of that and you're a little bit more like mask in your energy, it's really hard to book. So I've had to kind of walk for myself slightly, because I was like originally like a street dancer, like give me baggy trackies, like hoodie, like you go to those classes, you ain't got an inch of makeup on, your hair screwed up, you're just messy. And then I come into this industry like, you need to wear not a lot of clothes, you need to put some makeup on, you need to sort your hair out. I'll never forget it. One of the biggest agencies in London for dancers, and we danced in front of the owner of it, and we're a line of 5 of us dancing, and we went for it, and we was like busting it out, and I got to the end and I was like, wow, I really did that under pressure. Like I really aced that, because that was really hard. We learnt it really quickly, and it was just like bang, do it in front of the owner. And he went by one down the line of us giving us feedback, and he got to me and he said, have you ever thought of wearing your hair in a side parting?
Wow.
So everything I just did, I gave you my soul and my sweat and my passion and my performance. And you're going to ask me if I've thought of wearing my hair in a side parting. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's very,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just to sort of have that as like, you know, like you say, you just put your blood, sweat, and tears into that, heart and soul, giving every ounce of your energy. You know, when that sort of came out of his mouth, like, how did you deal with that? How did you keep that sort of game face? Because I'd have been like pulling the face. It would have been so hard to keep that straight complexion.
I think because I was so desperate for his approval, I was like, oh yeah,
Okay.
corrected my hair, switched it to the side,
Did
and he was
you?
like, yeah, so much better. Look at how you changed because your parting changed. Right. Okay.
Cheers, mate. Sorted.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's something that comes with it, and it's a shame because then it becomes not about the dance, and it just becomes like, oh, you're that person's really really pretty, so we'll put them on that. But yes, they're a good dancer, but then are they an incredible dancer? If you just put a bit of music on, could they really just live their life outside of choreography to it? No, but they're beautiful and they've got great hair, so put them on the job.
Right. I see. I see. Okay. So, on that note, then, for you, what do you see in the current industry of you know, dance and, you know, choreography that is probably something that people may not know that
Mm.
could create a bit more awareness, or at least something that would help them along the way with their journey, or if the kids are going into or anything like
I think it's like not losing your love for the actual dance, because it does become, as soon as it turns into a business, it does become about all those other things. So it's
that?
like,
Sure.
if you keep that love for it and you keep your individuality within it, like what part of it do you love, like how is the way that you move, like what's your USP? If you keep that, that's something that no one can take away from you, no matter how you have to look aesthetically to match the brief, and that's fine, and I'm so on board doing that. Like if I need to dress a certain way, or like, you know, within reason, or put my hair in a certain hairstyle, like, fine. But I think no one can ever take away from you and your connection with dance. So it's nourishing that. And it's like, sometimes just get up and dance in your lounge, not because you're being paid, not because someone's about to film you, just because you want to reconnect with it. I think that's really important because it started off as a hobby and it started off as a love for doing it. So just because it's turned into a business, don't let that like disappear as well.
Yeah, so this is really good. I like that because I think, yeah, you can get caught up in the sort of noise of money and business, and, you know, getting these opportunities, which, you know, you want to people please, you want that approval, like you say. And I love the fact you just said there, well, look, you know, just close the curtains, whatever, put the lights and put a disco light and just dance and be silly with it. I think we sort of lose, yeah, but this is what I mean though, is we sort of lose that when we get into the business world, because we feel like it has to be very serious. And maybe, like I say, if you've been doing it so many years, you'll remember when you first started, it wasn't a business, or maybe it starts to turn into a business, you're having fun with it. So,
Yeah.
you know, we lose that fun side. And I think that's where obviously the mental health, when people keep talking about mental health and it going down, it's because you're not being who you want, like you're not reconnecting, like you say, with what you came into dance for.
Yeah, 100%. And that I think is like the key, is just making sure you stay connected with it, regardless of the noise and everything and the business around it.
So this is good then. So all right then. So if you look back on reflection of your sort of career so far,
Mm.
like if there is anything, because I think this is a good piece you just shared there. If there's anything that you could do differently,
Mm.
what would it be? And that may help someone as well along their journey.
I think my journey was like not the typical dancer journey. Like I didn't go to like a conservatoire, dance school. I didn't go down that route. And sometimes I think, was that a good thing because it saved my self-esteem and it saved my confidence? But then on the other side, I'm like, if I had gone down that route, my network probably would be so much better, because I wouldn't have had to pave my way as this kind of like, who do I need to know? What room should I be in? Like figuring it out, no mentor. There could have actually been mentors for me. And I think that would have been, sometimes I think to myself, God, if I got myself this far just on my own, can you imagine how far I could have got if I actually had a mentor as well? Like that would have been like astronomical. So I think, yeah, for me, that's sometimes what I think. Would I change it though? I don't know, because would I have got as far? Would I have been as hungry if I didn't have to actually work for it myself?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I wasn't sort of asking you to sort of like change it. It's just that if you do anything different. So obviously, you sort of explained there if there was an opportunity to come across to have a mentor, or
Mm,
somebody to guide you, put you in different rooms. I think it's always refreshing to have maybe another pair of eyes and another
yeah,
mindset to sort of seek that potential. Because obviously, you stay in your lane, like you say, you have your blinkers on, but there could be somebody there that is got the wealth of experience that could say, hey, Emily, here's a room that I'd want you to step into, and you would never probably even thought of that.
I would have loved that. I would have absolutely loved that. And it could. I know it sounds really silly. We were saying about the side part and thing with the hair, but imagine if
Yeah.
like the person had said, right, that person on the panel you're about to go into, they love it when people look like this. Just move your hair slightly before you go in. Like it's things like that. Like I never had
Right.
those there's little tidbits. So I think, yeah, in regards to what you're saying, I think, yeah, being able to have a mentor, even now I'd love a mentor. I still don't feel like I'm, in a position where I wouldn't need one. I think everyone always needs a mentor, like everyone always needs a therapist. I think if anyone wants
Sure.
to me, no. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's got to learn.
So obviously you're open to have like a mentor. What do you think is the reason, if you could pinpoint it on maybe if there isn't like one for you right now? Is that, have you seeked one? Is it just because maybe you're waiting for it to sort of come to you? Like yeah, tell us about that.
I think what it would be good to have somebody that is, because I'm like 34 now, somebody who is like a lot further on in their career, maybe like 50s, that kind of remit, and maybe somebody in the space of um uh movement director, uh director, like further down the line choreographer, because that's where I feel like I'm like moving into, although I'd still book like still want to dance on dance jobs. um I think that's where I'm going, so I think it would be great to have more. I just think more hands are better than one. I think, like I said, I've been this lone ranger on my own one man
Sure.
band. And I think if you create a team or you create that community around yourself, it's only going to benefit you. Like, yes, I've got like my friends in the industry, but I don't know. I think that having a mentor, having somebody to bounce things off, it's always going to be beneficial. I feel.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I just think as well, it sounds, I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it also sounds a bit like you're a mentor yourself now to these people that you're working with
Yeah, like
in
so
a way.
I'd them, but then I also would like to be
Yeah,
mentored. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so you're sort of like then in the middle, right? So it's sort of like you've got somebody like pulling you to explore your potential, give you a bit of guidance, seek where you could go, but you're
Yeah.
doing that for others. So it's a bit of like, you're like, oh, I wish I had, I wish I had somebody like, me that's doing that for them, but so I could
Yeah.
also see where I could go.
I think as well, yeah. I mean, it's like if you have the responsibility of like feeding and passing down to other generations, you have to also be feeding yourself in order to pass down.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if, sorry, just cut out. Sorry, say that again. I didn't want to
No,
cut you out. It just stopped.
yeah.
No, I was just going to say, so for you now, then, with obviously what you do, if there is a message that you would want to give to the dance industry, I mean, obviously, even our audience listening in, that is like not, it's unheard of. It's something that maybe you're like, God, I just want to get this out to the world. What would that message be?
To the dance industry. pay dancers more, because they work really, really, really hard. And it's just a fight across the board, I think. And a lot of the
I've heard
time,
this before. Though. I've heard this before. Yeah, I'm sorry to stop. It's just because I've heard this. It's screamed at me with singers and dancers.
yeah,
On cruise ships specifically, it's like the difference in pay
yeah.
with the US dollar was mad. So yeah, I totally get that. Keep going. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. No, yeah. I think it's that. I think a lot of the times there wouldn't be, like, certain shows wouldn't even exist if there wasn't dancers that are there creating the magic behind whatever is happening. And I think if there was one day where we woke up and all of that was taken away, there was no such thing as dancers, entertainers, like nothing. I just think the world would be a really boring place. So I think there just needs to be a bit more credit for that.
No, I totally agree. I think that's so good from a dancing perspective. On like being obviously you work so hard, the hours that people will never see behind the scenes, the loneliness, the isolation, the sort of body stress that you go through, the sort of discipline with nutrition, sleep, routine. That again, it's it's hard work, and like I say, you can be cut from a job tomorrow. You could be on a job tomorrow with an instant, So it's just being ready for anything, I guess, and that takes a lot. But for you, like in your own story, in your own journey, like being like on this, like for example, obviously I've given you the space on this platform today, and you were so eager to be on it because obviously you was very much like love the human element. That's what I feel. Wants to be more. You want to give that more. What would your message be that you want to share to our audience in just as a personal and a business life?
Yeah. I think don't be afraid to, like, still be a child within your life. I know adults, we all have responsibilities, and like we said earlier, we've got these mortgages to pay, but like having fun and just doing childlike things, I just think is so important. And it's like, if every day, or so, even not every day, because that might be too much of a high expectation, but like at least one time a week, you carve out an hour to just have fun or to do something creative for yourself, with no worry about the income that you're getting from it, no worry about what anyone else thinks. Just go and be a kid again for like an hour. I think everyone would just be a lot happier.
Do you know, I absolutely love that. I'm so glad you just said it like that as well, because it's something. Yeah, but it's something though in it with life. We just become boring. Life becomes repetitive and just mundane and fixed and societal norm, and just like where is that? I literally shared something online today about obviously our daughter and stuff like that, and I think when you do have kids in life, I mean, just talking from a father perspective, you do bring stupid side again, because you're putting going with your face and stuff like that, and you don't care because they're happy, right? So, but it's like, why can't we do that with an adult? I know that sounds weird, but it's like, imagine if you're in a room just like, I don't know, jumping up and down and pulling funny faces. I know that's weird, but it's like you'd all probably have a laugh anyway.
I know, it's like as though, like, for us to be able to have a laugh, we have to intoxicate ourselves. We've got to go and have a drink, or we've got to, do these things to allow ourselves to be free. Like, it's just, like you say, just sat there playing some games with your mates. Like, how nice is it at Christmas when all families get together and you all play Monopoly, or you just play games, and you're playing games with like your grandparents or your parents or adults, and it's just, everyone is then on that same childlike level, and it's just fun.
Yeah, no, it's totally agreeable, and you just be silly, and it's just, again, doing it with others, I guess, not just doing it on your own, like being silly on your own. It's being silly and seeing and feeling everybody's being silly with you. It's
it's just the laughing.
Oh no.
I think the question to ask yourself is like, when was the last time you laughed to the point where you cried? Like that laughing where it's just like you can't get hold of it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. No,
the,
it's mad. Yeah, yeah.
you're wheezing and you're with your friends and you're rolling around in silence because you're laughing so hard. Like that is just, it's just got to be part of life, isn't it? Because I can't remember last time I did that. I need to make sure I do that, you know?
Yeah, no, no, totally. I'm same. I've laughed, but probably not to the point where I'm literally
Yeah.
like back of my head hurting because my jaw's been open. That, like that sort of tingly feeling because it's like, oh my god, I'm crying with laughter, tears streaming, and
Yeah.
it not be a reel or a TikTok thing. It just be actually an experience,
Yeah.
or being around someone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if we all strive for that, that's what we should all put on our vision boards
I
to laugh.
know, literally.
Yeah, 100%. I just think,
Oh,
yeah.
I think it's definitely more needed. So with yourself, and now, come on, Emily, let's go into this. Like, what's your dream in life now? What do you want to be able to achieve?
Oh, wow. My dream is to, whenever I meditate, it comes up, to be honest. I don't meditate often. Like sometimes I'll just listen to like a voiceover kind of positive thing before I fall asleep. And whenever it says about like envision your future, I always comes to the same thing. And I've got this headset on, and I've got this stage in front of me, and I've got these dancers on there, and we're running for a rehearsal, and then I've got my partner who comes next to me. He's got the kids with him, and they've got ice creams in their hand, and it's like everything I love is happening. Like my creative is in front of me, and then my family is next to me with that same experience. It's like the whole thing encompassed. So that is like, I just think that's the ultimate, doing what you love with the people that you love. Like, what more is there? I feel like that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's amazing, and it sort of really links well with what we've gone through today, like even spoken about in this episode. About sort of being on stage, but not looking outside, and then thinking, oh, it'd be nice to maybe share it with somebody, maybe for that emptiness, that cup
Mm,
not being even half, and just now, bang, you've got your loved ones with you. I think that's brilliant. That the fact that it keeps coming up for you as well is it's your calling. There you go. It's absolutely on the horizon, Emily, for you. I think you've got that energy, and you seem to invite those things in anyway.
I do, but I have to. It's my responsibility to be aligned with that, because Lord knows when you're not aligned and you're not putting in the work, it is all the way not
Yeah.
happening.
No, I know. Well, look, I mean, I don't want to sort of like dampen this buzz that we've got going on. But we are sort of getting close towards the end. But I just want to sort of, if you're happy to share, if there's been a moment in your life that was, I don't want to say like really negative or traumatic. I don't know, if there's anything that comes up where, it was a low moment for you, a moment of despair, a moment, because obviously we talk about failure a lot, don't we, in business and in
Yes.
life, fail forwards, and failure is part of the process. Is there a moment for you that maybe shaped you from that moment of negativity, or whatever, and how did you come out of that? Just because it might be relatable to our guys listening.
I think so. Career wise, I think just from that point of view, I think you always get no's all the time, so you just become immune to it. You get like no's,
Okay.
and like that. That's kind of like the numb side of it. I think on like a personal level, something happened with like a very dear person to me within my family, and I think that like they were fine, but I think in those moments you just get this wave of perspective where you're like, nothing else matters. How dare
Right.
I have even worried about these insignificant things? Um, so yeah, I think that was something that was pivotal. But what I do think is a shame is that you don't, and me and a lot of people, you don't stay in that sense of awareness when those things have happened and that the time passes. It's like you then go back into your normal state of worrying about small things. I just wish that like something dramatic could happen, and then it creates such an effect that you hold on to how you initially felt after it happened, and then you navigate your life from that point. I just think we all just go back into being comfortable. So I guess in terms of maybe something that I can pass forward is if something has happened to other people, not that I'd say bring yourself back to that moment, but if there are times where you are worrying about something, just jog your memory into how that felt in that moment when things were actually really bad, and then use your drive from that space to create perspective in the current issue.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's just like slowing down that checking in part, like you say, and just seeing it from a point of again, obviously it's out of your control as well. Not everything, like you said, you got multiple rejections, you become numb to it. I think it's just trying to remember it's not actually your fault. I think the blame, you can easily put it on ourselves.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think, yeah, like, and things are out of your control. So like what happened with the person in my family, that's like so out of my control. Like and then you just are like, oh my god, like it puts such a perspective on life. So I think, yeah, is always bringing yourself back to those hard moments to have gratitude for kind of like where you're at and use that as your driving force moving forward.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I mean, I know myself, it's always, even though you hear this, it's nice to hear it again and again and again. Well, look, obviously we are getting towards the end. I want to ask this question. I do ask every single guest this question, and again, you've spoken about perspective, so I'd love to sort of hear your perspective on this. And I think you've already said it anyway, but you might reframe it. Emily, what does mastering your life mean to you?
Mastering your life, what a great question. Mastering my life is like freedom and happiness, and honestly it would be really cool to get out of the system in some
Yeah.
way. That would be epic to get out of it and just be like, obviously everything, like things are out of your control in terms of like your destiny, but just attaining the things that you do want along the way, and then getting out of this sort of system that we're all in, where we're, I don't know, you know what I mean by system. People call it the matrix, don't they? Of
Yeah.
what we kind of live in, or just finding glimpses out of that, I think are really important.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I just love the way that you sort of. I think there's two words: freedom and happiness, and then breaking the norm, and
Yeah.
being able to have that. I think that is so powerful. Well, look, obviously, I've absolutely loved this episode. I think we've got through quite a lot, to be honest. If anyone's listening today, I mean, don't worry, we'll make sure people can connect with you in the show notes and see, follow your journey. Where's the best place for our audience to sort of, connect with you, or maybe even send you a message?
Well, I'm actually in the midst of building a website at the moment, so maybe by
Ooh.
the time it comes out, that would be out. I'm going to actually hold myself accountable. EmilyGolding-Ellis.com. I'm going to say
Ooh.
it now.
Within 4 weeks, go on.
I'm going to get it done. Might be .co.uk depending on the domain, but yes. So it would either be the web, or it will be my Instagram, EmilyGolding-Ellis_.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, that'll all be there for people to clickable links, make it dead easy. But final thing from me, thank you so much for joining me for this past hour. Honestly, it's been such a refreshing episode, and I'm glad we got to share more about your story.
Thank you for having me. I feel bad that I've not asked questions back to you. I feel like it's like I want to know about your life also.
No, this is it. This is you. It's about you. I'm learning so much from you. So I love that you want to ask me questions, but seriously, I
had such a
want it to be on.
Like I need to give back.
That's you, though, isn't it? That's your personality down to a T.
Thank you so much.